everybody. I'm Liam Reese. Today, I'm joined by those wrestling brothers, Matt and Tom Lavelle. This is a special edition of the Comics Perspective podcast, a show where we talk about and review some of our favorite comics. We're going to get right into it.
It's our objective to be effective by voicing societies, working perspective, exploring your day and how you get paid, launching a new episode every Tuesday. Your day can transform while we inform with new episodes available on every platform. So check out our vibe and how we get live. Then do us a solid, share and subscribe. Would you share it? Would you share it? Would you share it? Working perspectives.
All right. Today, we are going to be talking about a guy named Rob Fee. He's a writer. He was a writer for Marvel. He's now working with WWE. Tom brought this guy to my attention. He's very interesting. I read some of his comics. He did the Avengers Halloween special, and he did the Red Goblin. That's what I read. Tom, I know he did a whole lot more than that, so why don't you take it away and tell us more about Rob Fee?
All right, so when I first heard about this guy, I started reading it, and immediately my mind popped in you, Liam. I was like, oh my God, this is my world, professional wrestling, in your world, the comics, and it's like they're bringing them together, which is a perfect match. So a little background on Rob Fee. He's actually been around for a little bit of time, but kind of maybe behind the scenes, and people aren't really going to see him in WWE, but he's maybe the puppet master, you'd call him in there. So he's worked for Marvel Comics, like you said. He's been writing for Daredevil, Spider-Man, the Avengers. Additionally, Fee worked for the Ellen Show, Ridiculousness on MTV, various Disney projects, including a top-rated XD show called Player Select that had 100 episodes. He's worked with Will Smith and produced the Fresh Prince reunion and Will from Home, which is the most watched Snapchat series. He's now the head of long-term creative for WWE. So he's got a really important job. I'm really interested into diving into what that is going to be. There's a lot of similarities between comics, the comic world, and professional wrestling, Liam. And that's why I thought this show could be so interesting because, I think as we were talking before, these are just larger than life type characters with superhuman powers. And there's just many connections that they have. There's been other shows. There was a show, Steve Amell, I want to say is his name. And he was
Heels.
He did he's done Heels, and then also
he did Arrow. You're right.
Arrow. So he was on Arrow, which is like, is that loosely
it's the Green? It's based on the Green Arrow. That is DC Comics.
So he was like a celebrity from that kind of went over into the WWE world. So there's other similarities too, because there's like a wrestling con, you know what I mean, where they have everyone dress up like their favorite characters, interview, and they have Comic-Con, right?
Dude, it is like very much like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People are constantly trying to dress up and emulate these characters. They have catchphrases, you know what I mean? They have like and a lot of these characters, they have like these like cult like followings too. You know what I mean? Like you have these pockets of, and you see it in, I feel like WWE too. Like, you know what I mean? You'll have a wrestler and he has his diehard fans and stuff. Yeah. And when you go on Reddit and like message boards and stuff, you see the exact same thing with comics. And me and you were talking earlier, and I said, you know what I mean, like the heels are the bad guys or whatever. And you brought up like, well, heels kind of hard to define. There's like anti-heroes and everything, and the crowd like kind of gravitates toward that now.
Right.
And really like the big thing in comics right now is the anti-hero. So it's like, you know what I mean?
Ironically,
the parallels are there.
What is a big movie coming out with an anti-hero? Black Adam
at WWE, The Rock.
The Rock. You know what I mean? And also
Peacemaker, John
Peacemaker,
Cena.
yes.
You know what I mean? It's there.
And it's like, it's box office. It's the, superstars. I mean, if you think about how big Marvel is and the top celebrities are in these Avengers movies and all this other stuff, and the top celebrities are WWE, and like these worlds are coming together more and more and more, and it's a perfect fit. It really is.
I agree. There's, I even see like similarities, like, like they have, like in wrestling, you have a wrestler that they want to bring up, they want to like put over the top and everything. Well, you'll have that wrestler beat somebody who's already established, or they do the same thing in comics. Like you want to bring a character up, they have this battle, you have a character that's like a villain, a strong villain already established, and then that character will triumph over a strong already established character, and now that character becomes like strong and popular. You know what I mean? Like, same deal.
Something too, where when they talk about creative and doing something, for example, there was a match this past week where two wrestlers, Sheamus and Gunther, who are like probably the best story in WWE right now, and they were fighting, and the good guy, who's also kind of an anti-hero kind of guy, he's fighting and they wanted to win, and then the other guy cheats and wins, whatever. Both guys came off strong. So I bet you there's a lot of that too in comics, where they can't have someone, like, for lack of a better term, look like a pussy. You know what I mean? So they're like, we have to have them be a good fight. Someone wins, but maybe they win, by mistake, or they win by something that happens, where both guys come out looking strong. It elevates the new hero, and it keeps everyone on the same level. So I love like the ties with that. I'm interested to hear, because you dove into Rob Fee's comics and what they're about. And I've kind of in the history of thing, I noticed he was a big horror fan, like a big horror movie fan. And so I'm curious how that tied into his comics.
That was actually what I was about to say. If there was like a horror genre of comics, this is it. If Rob Fee wrote it, it's like a horror comic. They're even, you know what I mean? Like, they're explicit. It's like not, there's even, like those, the stickers that used to be on CDs, like explicit, like parental advisory. Those are on his comics. They're like geared more towards an older audience, because they're like scary and violent and brutal, and like the characters are almost like, demonic or like ghoulish, you know what I mean? Like that, like scared. They all have that like scary, like evil look to them.
Well, demonic, that's something I want to touch on later. Why don't you to break down these comics, and then, because the demonic and the horror, I mean, this is totally going into the WWE world.
So from what I could tell, you're right. Rob Fee was involved probably in like a lot of writing rooms and everything, like where he, you know what I mean? He was probably part of like a creative team. He did stuff in like Spider-Man, Avengers and everything. But the titles I found that he penned himself had like a much, like where he was like the, you know what I mean? Like the head writer. It's like his name is first on the billing. The first one I could find is they did a Halloween special in 2018. It was just called the Avengers Halloween special, and this one was like real gruesome too. Daredevil, he gets this surgery so that he can see again. This is, now mind you, this is all set in an alternate universe. This isn't like the normal Marvel universe. They call this Earth 18121. There's like infinite Earths and everything. It's the number, I could tell you any number, and really it doesn't matter. We'll just call it Rob Fee's Earth,
Okay.
So Daredevil, as we know, is blind. He's got like the super hearing and feel and sense of smell and everything, and that's how he like gets by. It's almost like superhuman. Well, he goes to get this surgery so that he can have his sight again. And they do the surgery. Surgery goes well and everything. He takes it off, and now he can finally see again. And all of a sudden, he's with his best friend, Foggy. And it appears to Daredevil that Bullseye, his like one of his arch rivals, is there about to kill Foggy. He picks up a pair of scissors, throws it at him. It goes right through him because it's a hallucination, and kills his friend Foggy. Then he starts seeing all the dead people from his past and everything, all this crazy stuff. And he calls the doctor and says, hey, what's happening with this? And then he says, well, Kingpin, he got my kids and everything. They put these like hallucinogenic stuff into like his tear ducts so that he's just constantly hallucinating. But dude, the visuals and everything, very scary, very horror. Like he's seeing all these dead people from his past and everything. And then like, you know, Kingpin standing over him. He rips his eyeballs out, blood everywhere. It's gruesome, you know, because he was blind for so long, thought he wanted to see, you know, like how nasty everything must be that you're blind your whole life, you can see, and then you rip your eyeballs out. That was a messed up story, you know? And that was like Rob Fee's entry into the Halloween special, you know?
Wow. So now there's a character in WWE. His name is, he's Bray Wyatt, also known as the Fiend. Mm-hmm. So Bray Wyatt and the Fiend, I mean, this is a dark character. And so last year, Bray Wyatt left WWE. He was released. A little bit before that, Rob Fee wrote a movie that he wanted to produce about the character, the Fiend, who is, you're thinking demonic, I mean, this is demonic as it gets. Like this guy's face and his alter ego is the craziest thing. Like if you think The Undertaker was like it's 10 times that.
No, I saw like the face and like I saw his like get up and it was pretty like freaky, you know what I mean? Like
it's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
So very cool. He was in charge now, and he's director of long-term creative, and so he was doing this whole thing with this White Rabbit like mystery thing. And so every show for the last like month and a half, not on TV, it was a viral campaign. They would play this song White Rabbit by Jefferson Airplane, the a cappella version. And it was so eerie and so cool, and everybody kept posting it, and it did exactly what they wanted to do. So how smart is this guy producing it? But funny enough is that when he came back this weekend at a pay-per-view in Philadelphia, and he had all these characters. He used to have this thing called the Firefly Funhouse, and I shared the video with you. And so they cut to all these like different characters in the audience, which are horror looking characters. Those are all the old characters, and it's so funny how the tear ducts, and he would see all these dead guys from the past in the comics. It's the same thing. They were almost saying like this is like him laying to rest all those old souls from his Firefly Funhouse. And they're not sure exactly if that's it, but it seems to be like a good correlation. And I wonder if it'll lead to something with the Fiend almost, you know, doing something to himself to get rid of this you know, this weight of this like death and this horror and all that other stuff. But, you know, it is funny like how I wonder if they're going to I'm very curious about the comics, because I want to see if it will if there's going to be parallels with where this story and I can almost see what's going to happen.
It wouldn't surprise me. So he created a character called the Red Goblin, which is actually Carnage, Carnage is like one of the most violent, sadistic characters in, you know, Marvel. And from what you're telling me, like I see he's kind of like taking it from like one, like he's ending on one page and just picking up on another. You know what I mean? Like he's doing in what he was doing at Marvel. Because when he wrote Red Goblin, that was not like a Halloween special. That was his. They said, here, do your character, whatever. And it was still like very horror, very Halloween and everything. And that story was pretty much the first episode. The first issue is just, you know, the Red Goblin going through, and he's just tearing through New York City and killing innocent people in like the most like, you know, sadistic ways possible. And there's like a battle, like a duality, but in the end, it's Carnage and Norman Osborn. He's like, you know, telling them like, you can't kill all these people for no reason, like they're citizens. But well, like as it progresses, like evil wins, you know, like Carnage pretty much takes over, and the character of Red Goblin is Norman Osborn is almost Norman Osborn is almost gone. But you find yourself like really into it though, you know, like as bad as it was, like I was into it. I was hooked. I was like, this character's really cool. I'll read more, you know.
I'm wondering
I couldn't get to the next panel fast enough, you know.
If that's where this is headed, because now this is someone, and we've talked about heels. This is someone, Bray Wyatt is as dark as it gets. And so I'm wondering if it's going to be, and it's almost it's like a popular thing, because when I think, the first thing that popped in my mind when he said evil wins is Game of Thrones. And so like Game of Thrones, when you'd have like the most popular characters get killed off and stuff like that, I'm wondering if he's gonna take this, like, life isn't always, the good guy doesn't always win. You know what I mean? So
No.
I'm wondering if they're gonna be going forward with his character and stuff like that, with evil ultimately winning,
And sometimes the like evil, like bad characters, like they end up being like super popular anyway.
Yeah.
Like there's anti-heroes like Red Hood. Deathstroke is extremely popular character from DC, and he's not good at all. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
he's bad. Dude, Punisher, Deadpool, Harley Quinn was like, has like murdered tons of people.
The Joker.
Marv from Sin City. Yeah, there's people wearing Joker shirts, dressed up as the Joker and stuff. They could be evil and as nasty as possible, and they're still going to be super popular.
Yeah, so with the anti-hero winning and evil winning overall, I think that's something that can go forward. Now, Fee had a history with WWE's characters before being signed by them. So I'm wondering if his, friendship with these guys was before. Like I told you before, he had written a movie and wanted to produce one about the character the Fiend, and apparently went over well with the WWE higher ups. Now, it didn't end up working out. Bray Wyatt ended up leaving the company, but this build up to having him come back has been one of the biggest things going on since Triple H took over. Now, we've gone to a TV 14 in WWE, which is a more risque, like more horror stuff you can do, more stuff that's a little bit more edgy. And hiring this guy who's been so successful with all this other stuff, he was friends at his wedding. Bray Wyatt was at his wedding. John Morrison, who's another professional wrestler, was at his wedding. And he got a video message sent to him by MJF. So MJF is one of the, see, I told you, that's Matt's pop right there. MJF is one of the most.
Whoa. Back it up.
Yep.
What the fuck did you just say?
This guy's boys with MJF.
Who's boys with MJF?
Rob Fee.
Fuck. MJF, legit, probably best heel. Probably, dude, he's fucking up there with best heel in the business right now.
Maybe the fastest rising wrestling superstar of all time, at least if you asked him.
Honestly, he says it, but it's fucking true. He's been on TV for 3 years, and he's legit. He's probably, in 2024, he will be the number one sought after free agent in all of pro wrestling. And there's no question about it.
How long is Roman Reigns signed for?
Well, dude, he's probably, we'll see. We'll see who stars burning
if
brighter.
If he comes to AEW, or if he comes to WWE,
he's gonna. There's no way he's staying.
He's boys with Cody. He's boys with the guy that is now friends.
Oh, he's AEW, and he's friends with Rob Fee. And okay, very cool.
And so Rob Fee is the head of long-term creative, Matt, and you know what that means.
Would he be like the Brian Gewirtz of this era?
I guess, but it's different. It's with Triple H at the helm. Vince McMahon had lost touch for a long time. To be honest, I think he's been out of touch decades. Okay, I think he's a hardworking man. I think people wanted to see, they saw a reality thing, ECW, whatever, Attitude Era, that stuff. The production is unparalleled. There's nobody that produces and puts together a show, from the pyro to the clips to the, to everything, to the trailer, and puts on a show. Nobody is close to putting on a show like WWE. Not even close. A lot of times when you see professional sports and what they're doing, they copy off of WWE.
Yeah.
But so Triple H taking over, and he said it before, and Matt, you've heard this. He likes what he calls a slow burn. Okay. Building a story, and to where the number one thing about professional wrestling is not being the greatest athlete in the ring. It's getting people to want to watch and be invested in the story. This White Rabbit thing, and this guy, Rob Fee, in the month and a half or 2 months that he's been around, he has hit it out of the park. I'm telling you, I was watching every one of these videos. Now, the horror, I'm not a huge horror guy. I don't really it's not my thing, but the overall production and where they went is Matt, was not incredible on Saturday. The crowd, for a horror, number one horror guy, like an evil thing. The crowd was electric.
Dude, it was electric before he everyone knew who the fuck it was.
They knew who it was.
Everyone knew exactly where he was, what was going on, right? There was no guessing, oh, who could this be, right? The crowd was absolutely buzzing, right? Buzzing, not with anticipation, buzzing, knowing exactly who it is. And then when he took off his mask, did the reveal, doesn't say a fucking word, and the crowd blew the roof off the place. Popped like you wouldn't believe.
He did say, "I'm here," but the crowd was so loud, and the microphone was built to pick that up. The crowd was so loud you couldn't hear it. And there's been a lot of things that he's done, and I'm wondering if he's involved in other things. And this is where I was wondering with you, Liam, if there was little nuggets that he leaves in his comics to kind of tell a story, because there was a little thing that happened with the tribal chief Roman Reigns and Jey Uso this week, and it was minor. It was minor storytelling, but I feel like Rob Fee, this comic book world, this thing that he's got his finger on the pulse. He knows what he's doing with the fans and building the story, and to bring in, and it's not always knowing what to do, it's knowing who to hire. And I think WWE hit this one out of the park, and I'm super excited. And I think more and more comic book stuff is going to be coming into the WWE, comic book-esque stuff.
Yeah, dude, if he's been in like writing rooms with like other comic writers and everything, he said like he was involved in Spider-Man and Avengers, like some of these are like volume after volume after volume after volume, and the story just, you know what I mean, like goes on for, you know, years, you know what I mean, like each
another
issue
parallel
is a month, you know, each issue is you'll get like an issue a month in a series and everything, and usually they'll put together like 8 to 10 will be in like a collection, and I've seen them where, like, you know what I mean, there's like 10, 15 collections, you know, and that's a lot of content for like a whole story to unravel, and for them to go that long, it means it's, you know, people are buying it and people are into it. And if you're telling me everybody was watching this, they knew who it was going to be, and they were that loud anyway, and he's leaving Brent, that tells me they were already like fully in, you know what I mean? Like, yes, the fans are like in, everybody's invested, even though they knew what the payoff was going to be. It was like, you couldn't look away. You know, it's like when I was saying, like, I just wanted to get to the next panel. Like, you just,
well, a little thing too he did with Judgment Day this past weekend. Judgment Day had a match, and they're this group, and they've been going against this guy Edge, who you may be familiar with. So he was fighting, and this was called an I Quit match. Well, it gets pretty brutal, and now they're thinking, and this group has come in, and they're beating on Edge, and there's 3 guys and a girl. Well, no one can hit the girl because guys can't hit girls. It's not allowed in professional wrestling in WWE. Well, the guy's wife, Edge's wife, Beth Phoenix, comes out. Next thing you know, they got her unconscious. They're holding him up, making him watch while they beat her with a chair while she's unconscious, which is pretty dark. You know what I mean?
Oh,
and
yeah.
This is a new thing to where eventually he had to say, "Stop, I quit," you know? And so when you're telling me about this stuff that he's writing in these comic books, and I'm like, man, he's bringing it over. And this is what the WWE fan has been craving, because I would venture to say most WWE fans are also big fans of the comic world, the Marvel universe, all DC, all that stuff. They're so similar. And like we said, all the professional wrestlers that are now in, you know, with Black Adam and Peacemaker and all that other stuff, like I just think this is going to get more. And if he's got guys that he's boys with that in the Marvel universe that are writing comics, WWE has a new episode every week, so they need the volume of content. And if you got the best guys in the world and you bring, dude, it's a perfect fit.
And maybe this will lead to more, you know what I mean? Maybe because Rob Fee will know other writers, other comic book writers and stuff, and if they're looking to, you know, dip their toe in that. And because you're right, I mean, there is a lot. If you go into Uncanny, like one of those, like, you know, like the chain comic book, you'll find like a WWE shirt, or like, you know what I mean? There's got to be times where there's been like wrestlers in comics, you know? Comics have been around for a long time. I guarantee like Hulk or somebody has been like The Rock, maybe.
Well, even the name Hulk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Dude, and like Hulk Hogan, like to me, like
Sting is a comic book character. He had to be in a comic book.
Oh yeah,
Sting?
like close to the Crow and everything.
Yeah, the Crow. Yeah.
But like to me, Hulk Hogan is almost the same as like Captain America. You know what I mean? Like Undertaker. They're like all these characters really are like essentially comic book characters.
Yeah.
Like a lot of them have like like unnatural abilities and stuff, and it's very cool.
Well, I'll tell you what. If they come out with a Fiend comic book, I'm going to have to check it out. I'm going to have to get it. Oh, yeah. Well, he wrote the movie for, I bet you a movie comes out soon about the Fiend. And I mean, I'm telling you, this character is as dark as it gets. And if you want to check something out, go check out his SummerSlam entrance from a couple years ago.
I love horror stuff. So, I mean, you were saying it's not really your thing, but I do like horror stuff. Like I always when I was a kid, I did like Venom and Carnage and that whole like the symbiote, like all that stuff, like the Maximum Carnage, all that stuff. I loved it when I was a kid.
You know what? I think I think at one point horror turned into like a torture thing, and I can't deal with torture. Like Saw and stuff like that. I was just like, I'm out.
I don't like those movies, and I agree with you 100% right there.
So that's where I check out.
Yeah, I like Halloween and like Friday the 13th, where they're just like stalking and killing a bunch of people and stuff. It's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's pretty much all I got on Rob Fee from now on. I'm excited to see where he's going with Dexter Lumis, who's kind of a horror character, Judgment Day, Bray Wyatt with the White Rabbit in the QR codes, and Roman Reigns. And I'm happy that you had me on the show. I know when I saw it, I was like, Liam, this is a perfect fit. It's kind of my world, your world, and we can kind of like dive into it. And hopefully there's some more things coming up that are going to be similarities that maybe we can talk about again later.
Well, I have a question. When I remember that wrestling used to have like what they would call jobbers. Do they still have guys that are there solely to like get their asses kicked? And you know what I mean?
They do. They're not as like, it's funny because that'll be like a knock on like maybe an old wrestler. Like people would say like Dolph Ziggler's like a jobber now. You know what I mean? And what it is something that we were talking about earlier, where you can elevate a character or a wrestler that's new in a thing. So you kind of have what's like levels, and so the jobber is also kind of taking a different term. They still do have jobbers. They'll put one up against like a Omos or a Braun Strowman or something like that, where they just come in and they beat the hell out of this guy and it's over in a minute. But you don't want to do that so much with like certain talent, because you want them to kind of seem strong too. But so eventually there's these guys that they seem to always lose. So
Deadpool, like if you read Deadpool comics, what he calls it is like C-list fodder. You know what I mean? Like the C-lister villains and stuff, like the ones that
same thing
that are there, they're prevalent in the world. They're always like they're always trying to knock something off or rob something or you know what I mean, do some experiment that'll fuck everything up.
Like the first villain in the movie that they just beat up.
Absolutely. Like in the first pages when the story starts, they'll be like fighting, like Boomerang, Wizard, Beetle, Goldbug, Frogman, like they're like the lamest characters, but they're like, they always seem to be there, like getting their asses kicked in the beginning. I was just wondering if they had that kind of thing still.
In the 90s, there was a lot more of it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Now what they'll do, if they're going to do a jobber, they'll be in a certain town. There'll be like different, like, companies around there, slower ones, and they give a guy a shot to be on TV. Hey, you're going to be on.
Okay.
You're going to get your ass kicked. Or because they want to be able to build their talent that they already have. You know what I mean? So it's like, hey, I got to wrestle on Monday Night Raw, where a guy that would have never gotten that chance.
Are they still doing like NXT, where they have the level below that's like the people coming up and everything? And...
NXT, NXT is still going on. That's every Tuesday nights NXT now. So NXT, and then like I said, AEW might do it a little bit more. But now, to be honest, it's why I'm excited with this Rob Fee and Triple H taking over, is that they've started to find a way to have the guys lose but stay strong, where Vince had totally lost that. He had guys and they would just lose and lose and lose and lose and lose, and then they're like, oh, they're in a big match, it's this guy. It's like, well, he loses every time, like, he's not gonna win.
So,
you know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, what he built is like undeniable, but eventually you have to get with the times, and you can't just keep doing the same thing over and over again. Everything evolves, you know what I mean? Like like not even any kind of entertainment has to evolve, so.
Well, and this could be way off base. Part of me thinks he was always out of touch, and that he like, even when WWE was huge in the Attitude Era and he was like the main bad guy and stuff like that, I think it was kind of goofy, and I look back on those matches and those stuff fondly. Like, I love it because that's where I grew up with and stuff like that, but I think it was still out of touch, and I think he was fortunate that people had this thirst for this actual real fighting and blood, like ECW. And either way, some of his stuff hit, but I think he missed a lot. I think Triple H, I mean, it's only been a couple months, but man, he is doing a great job, and a lot of it has to do with this hiring of Rob Fee. So I'm super excited where it's going, and I can't wait to see what happens.
Now, I have a quick question for you. If that Attitude Era, like, looking back on that Attitude Era stuff and everything, if that was what wrestling was now, do you think you would still like it? Like, do you think you would still like wrestling as much as you do right now? Like,
without the Attitude Era?
Yeah, like say you were the age you are. Yeah, the age you are right now, but you were during the Attitude Era. You know what I mean? Like,
the Attitude Era wouldn't be allowed today.
No, you're saying, like, would I like the Attitude Era when I'm 39? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, correct.
Yes, and a lot of people did. You know what I mean? Like, it was the #1 show, like, for as long as it gets. I mean, Dennis Rodman left practice in the middle of the finals to go be on Monday Night Nitro. So that's how big professional wrestling was.
Like, WCW was good then at that point.
Yeah, the whole thing was good, but a lot of that had to do with ECW and these people wanting to, like, this. And I think that's where WWE, WWF at the time ended up winning. They went a little more hardcore, and so what happened was, the best thing you could do is this disbelief to make people go, wait a second, is this real? Is that, like, really happening? Like, are these guys, do they really not like each other? Is this real? Like, is that guy really hurt? And then you see real blood and stuff like that. So that's where this guy Rob Fee with the stories is going to help, because he's going to build and make people be invested. Cody Rhodes is an amazing character to have, amazing talent to have, to build, like, a passion and an investment in an actual story, to where you're going to turn in to see, man, what's going to happen? Like, you're going to flip the next page in the comic book. I got to see what happens next. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. And I'm telling you, I think it's only been a couple months, but I mean, as far as a splash onto the scene, this guy behind the radar is making one of the biggest splashes in a long time. I'm telling you, it's gotten so much better. Like, Vince, it was tough, man. It was tough. It was tough being loyal.
Yeah. So that's what I was just kind of getting at, is like, at this point, you're just making a good thing better, So, like,
you've had all the potential. You've had all the like, everything there. Like I said, the production is second to no one, and and that's been for forever. I don't know. So you have all the tools there, and you just needed the right captains to guide the ship and to make it where you're pulling everyone, not just a portion. We're going to get everyone. We're bringing in Logan Paul. We're going to get that demographic. We're bringing in Rob Fee. We're going to get the comic book. We're going to build those stories. We're going to do this and that. Like, they're doing it all, and they're, like, firing on all cylinders. And I know it's as dorky as it gets, but I'm so fucking pumped for WWE.
Dude, you're on. We're doing a podcast about comic books, and I'm 37, so don't worry about as dorky as it gets. Dude.
All right,
that's
good,
totally fine. But
by the way, to all the haters that are on our other show, there's a couple guys that are.
Haters. It's a hater, and his name's fucking Steve the chode smoker.
No, there was.
He won't listen to this, so it won't fucking matter.
But I also sensed a little hate from Mr. Day as well. I'd rather just watch the real thing.
Yeah,
that's fine. I'm not saying
that's a hardo answer for.
Did you ever hear of Gable Stevenson, Olympic gold medalist, Kurt Angle? Our boy Matt Riddle, who wrestled last week, he beat twice John Jones. He beat him twice, not once, but twice. He beat him, and we got they're Brock Lesnar. These guys are bad fucking asses. They're superheroes, just like in the comic books.
Dude, Tom, when people start on that bullshit, you know what you say? Anytime somebody's like, comics, fucking this, that, you're like, yeah, you know what? That's why every time a movie comes out, it fucking smashes weekend records and everything because it fucking sucks. Like, shut up, dude. You know what I mean?
That's why there was 100,000 people there to watch WrestleMania.
Yeah, same thing. They sell out their arenas. You know what I mean? They're like constantly, like they always have the viewers and everything. Their fans are diehard. Why? Because it fucking sucks. Shut up. You know.
Well, that's why that's actually comics or the Marvel universe is something I will use as a reference with the number one line on haters is it's fake, don't you? And I go, yeah. Did you ever see Game of Thrones? That's not real, dude. Right? Yeah. Did you ever watch Avengers? That's not real, right? So.
Or any show ever.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Like
I guess we don't like entertainment.
Yeah. Come on. But good stuff. You think they'll sign the Diaz brothers? Did we see that earlier? Was there news
they
that
had Daniel Cormier? Daniel Cormier was at the pay-per-view this last Saturday. So I mean, the MMA world,
and they had Cain Velasquez.
Velasquez, like we said, Brock Lesnar, Matt Riddle was a UFC.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of UFC guys. Ronda Rousey, right?
Ronda Rousey is the champ right now. I mean, and Shayna Baszler was a MMA fighter. So I mean, there's a lot of parallels in that world too, and just WWE does it better. I mean, UFC is incredible, but
plus UFC fighters are trying to actually get paid if they're going to be getting their asses kicked every. You know what I mean?
Well, it's almost like if you're done with UFC, you can try to find like if you had a career in UFC and you're like, okay, look, I'm looking to go into something different, then this is the world for you because they can make it. You have to be successful though, really, You
have to be like cream of the crop to move on from UFC to.
Me and Matt don't want to dive into hating CM Punk, but we always knew he was a freaking douchebag and we always disliked him and we knew he was going to suck in UFC.
He's a fucking whiner.
And that was a big problem with him. But I think he's a big comics guy, to be honest. I do think he wrote a comic book. But
he did. You're right.
So did Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah. But Punk, we knew,
he sucks, dude. He's not a superhero. He's not a larger than life character.
No, he's not. You're right.
He's a mouth. But also, he's a fucking noodle. Man,
exactly.
If you look
Noodle
at these guys,
of the
year,
I wanted to nominate him, but we were like, I was like, no one else is gonna know this guy.
Well, but he sucks.
Or hate him as much as
if you look at these guys,
he's out of shape.
He's out of shape.
He's small. You know what I mean? It's like there's no way
he's not
Punk
Cena.
Is beating
he's not
Brock
Austin.
Lesnar in a fight.
Yeah.
No
not a
way. I can't suspend disbelief that much.
He's a heavyweight, so he would have to fight as a heavyweight. How much? Oh, okay.
And he's not fast. You know what I mean? Like Rey Mysterio's fucking lightning quick, and he
super athletic,
and he flies all over the place. That's his superpower. Yeah, you know what I mean?
There's no superpower for Punk besides being a complainer. He's a super complainer.
Dude, there's a promo that Triple H, Tom, you sent me the video. Triple H cut a promo on Punk, and he was going out to the ring. And before he went out, the writers were like, here's your script. He's like, I don't need a fucking script for this guy. Went out and just lit him the fuck up. And it was pretty fucking great.
Basically, he said, Cliff Notes, he said, me and you were a lot of the same. We did what we had to do to get ahead. The only difference is I told people to their face, I'm going to walk through you. I'm going to do whatever I have to do to step on you to get to where I want you. You played the martyr. You went behind people's backs like a little bitch. And so, dude, it was like, that is fucking Punk. You know what I mean?
Trips is, I'll tell you what, he's been doing pretty fucking good. He's been doing pretty fucking good telling them.
A year
stories.
ago, WWE we're like, what is happening?
Dude, a year ago we were
under.
singing when All Out happened, Adam Cole Adam Cole debuted and Bryan Danielson debuted for AEW. We were legit saying like, dude, we never thought we would say this, but WWE is in trouble. Now it's not even close. WWE is the fucking king of the castle.
And they're selling out quicker than ever. It's kind of funny. It's almost like a Marvel DC kind of a rivalry going there. Not that AEW is anywhere near like DC, but like Marvel in the movies has done so well and critically acclaimed, like by fans and stuff like that, where DC has kind of struggled. I think.
So I think DC is about to turn a corner, though. I do. I think Black Adam, it's shaping up to be
who's the star of Black Adam
again?
Strong
showing. Yeah, there you go. I mean, this is perfect. So
well, that's what we're gonna have to do then. The next one we do, Liam, is gonna have to be the Black Adam review.
Oh, absolutely.
Go watch it, and we'll do a review after it.
I'll talk more with Matt at the end, but I already have an idea. I got a ticket for opening weekend for Black Adam, and I'll probably put together like a quick review and put it up as fast as I can.
Weekend?
The 21st,
who's
October
the
21st.
Hawk dude in Black
Adam? That is Hawkman. So there's these two characters. There's Hawkman and Hawkgirl.
Wow, great!
Whoa! Where did they come up with that?
Wait a second.
Wow. Super creative.
If they have a child, is it Hawk Kid?
Is it Hawk Baby?
Hawk Baby. They're, I think, Thangarians are the name of the race that they are. They're from like another planet that was destroyed. They're like a race of like warriors. You know what I mean? They're like
that are hawks.
Yeah, they were like bred to be, like soldiers.
Well,
much.
Isn't so? But correct me if I'm wrong, Liam. Isn't Black Adam exactly what you guys were talking about? Where sometimes the most popular characters,
anti-hero, 100. Black Adam is like
we were saying it earlier. Is the same exact thing. That's one of the parallels. Same thing with your boy Peacemaker.
Oh, yeah. Peacemaker's the fucking greatest.
And they're both ex-wrestlers. John Cena, The Rock. I mean, it's like these worlds are...
Yes, Peacemaker, I thought the show was excellent. I thought he was excellent in the Suicide Squad. That movie was so much better than the Suicide Squad movie they made before. But that's because I think James Gunn was involved. He did the two Guardians of the Galaxy movies. He's doing the third Guardians of the Galaxy movie. He did Peacemaker show. Like he's
WWE's next hire.
Dude, James Gunn is if the people at DC have any brains at all, they will kind of let James Gunn I don't know why they don't just let him take over.
Controversy with him, James Gunn. Did he get in trouble for
there
something?
He said something, I can't remember what it was, but like a bunch of people were offended by what it was? It was one of those things where he made a tweet like years ago that was like that was like offensive today. So actually, like Disney and Marvel, they booted him. They're like, you're not our director anymore. But then, like the actors,
DC's like, we'll take you.
Well, no, the fans and actors and everything bitched, and we're like, fuck you. You know what I mean? Then he came back, and he's gonna do Guardians of the Galaxy 3. But DC, you're right, was smart enough to say, absolutely, dude, write our movies and everything. Yeah. I might be getting the timeline kind of wrong, but that is what happened. People complained he's back doing Marvel movies and everything, though. But it was stupid shit. You know what I mean? It was like, I don't understand. You dig something somebody said, like it's not appropriate today, but it was appropriate. But come on, give me a break. But DC should be turning a corner. I can't wait to do a review for that one. Black Adam's a great character. There's good characters in that movie too.
Nice. All right.
All right. So you've given me a lot to think about. Because I am definitely a horror fan, and if we have a Marvel writer who does horror stuff, in charge of creative.
You're a horror fan, Lishmi?
I love horror.
It could be. Could be starting. The Raw's on right now. I'm recording it, so who knows if Bray Wyatt has showed up yet? I don't want any spoilers on the line. So if there's another as the things come, Liam, I'll be sending them to you. Maybe we can always use another fan in the WWE universe. Another thing too, WWE is called, the fans are called the WWE universe. So maybe this is when universes collide. That sounds like a comic book. It's probably already written, but
yeah, they had a couple ones where the universes actually collide into each other and stuff.
So I think maybe in the future we can do some another WWE / or comic / WWE.
Yeah, let's see how far this goes. Yeah, see how far this goes. See if they pick up another writer. All that good stuff. I'm game, man. This was fun. This was a good episode, man.
All right. Nice. Well, this has been another episode of the Comics Perspectives Podcast. I'm Matt Lavelle, coming today by Liam Reese, Tom Lavelle, and you can find all our stuff on our content and all podcast platforms and YouTube at Working Perspectives Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at Working Perspectives Podcast, and you can join us on the Twitter and the TikTok. Working P Pod. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, please email us at workingperspectives@gmail.com, and please like and subscribe so we keep bringing you this sweet content in another episode of the Comic Perspectives Podcast. Thanks for listening.